friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 659. In that neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. Just a heads up, Bean Team, that tomorrow I will be doing another live stream and I will be reacting to some short horror films suggested to me by 2 members of the Bean Team. So if y'all have time tomorrow, come on back to the channel and show the Bean Team some love on our live stream. But I digress. I hope y'all doing excelente out there today, and I'm glad that you came on back to the channel once again to Elf with the Bean. And today we are going back to Adrian from Coffeehouse Crime. Back to the coffee man, y'all. And the title of the video is Killer Influencers, Evil Secrets Found by Cops. The Case of Andre Rebello. Now, number one, I'm just wondering, what are these evil secrets that Andre got going on? You know what I'm saying? That's number one. And then number two, y'all, it's like I sat back and thought about it. And we have watched a lot of different stories, different cases, different videos, whatever may have you, of social media influencers who got millions, hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers. You know what I'm saying? They so popular on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, got plenty of money. Seem like they just living the best life ever, and come to find out they the worst killers ever. You know what I'm saying, man? Come to find out they some of the worst human beings ever. And it seemed like Andre is gonna be another example of that. But I don't know yet. But we about to see. But before we see, Bean Team, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Adrian from Coffeehouse Crime. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
He may look handsome, at least to some of you out there, but unknown to his wife or anyone else for that matter, behind that innocent smile lay some very deceptive, dark and outrageous secrets. Andre may have looked like someone who had it all: a beautiful wife, a kid, luxurious items, holidays, and some online prowess. But let's just say that the way he was managing his fame and fortune was not only irresponsible, but downright stupid. And if he thought that maybe he would correct his ways once he realized his plans were not going the way he intended them to, well, think again. In fact, he would stoop to the very bottom to get out of that hole that he created. Hey there folks, my name is Adrian and welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime. And today, we're looking at the revolting case of Andre Rebello and the many lives he tore apart. By the way, I post up to 2 videos a week here, so if you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And now with that said, please grab yourself a coffee and let's get straight into this video. This is the case of Andre Rebello.
Get whatever you may need.
It was on May the 25th, 2020 that the Rebello family found in Perth, Australia received some very unwelcome news. To set the scene here, the family consisted of 58-year-old Colleen Rebello and her 4 adult children, Monique, Fabian, Julian and Andre. And although 2 of her children had already flown the nest, her youngest son Fabian and daughter Monique still lived at home. Just like his sister Monique, Fabian was out of the house for most of the morning and the early afternoon, doing his shift at the local supermarket. Now, usually his mother would not only drop him off at work, but also pick him up. However, when she failed to show up at 2 p.m., he knew that something was wrong. After making several phone calls to his mother and receiving no response, he eventually decided to walk home. And after arriving at the front door of the property, he could hear the shower running from the ensuite inside. And so, after closing the front door, he called out to his mother to ask if everything was okay. Yet, still, he received no answer. After approaching the bathroom door, he did what all of us would do and gave it a good knock. However, he was still met with silence, and so he made the uncomfortable decision to walk inside. And what he found was a scenario that all of us would dread. His mother was slumped and motionless in the shower, and no doubt, Fabian called the emergency services immediately. He tried his best to perform CPR on the bathroom floor, but sadly, it was to no use. Colleen Rebello was officially dead. The emergency services arrived shortly after, and after attempting to resuscitate her, they confirmed that she had passed away, leaving behind her beloved children and friends and newfound colleagues. Although her death initially seemed to be of natural causes, several strange signs emerged in the following weeks and then months. And let's just say that things were not as they appeared. But before we dive into the how or why of this story, let's first take a look at the who, because we have yet to adequately discuss the main characters of this case.
And before we even look at the Who Being team, just remember that he said that things would be revealed over weeks, over months. So this right there let us know that her case went unsolved for a long time before we found out, long story long, that Andre, the one who did it, her own freaking son. And it's so crazy because she had her children pretty much was adults. You know what I'm saying? She had, in layman's term, grown ass children. And for one of them to act out like that and kill our mama, like what? That's crazy. Like me, man, for instance, I'm in my 30s. I'm 33. I ain't scared to tell y'all how old I am. I'll be 34 next month. But I got older sisters than me and stuff. You know what I'm saying? In their 40s. And I ain't gonna tell their age because they'll be mad if I say that. But they older than me. I think one of them still in their 30s, but they in their 40s and stuff. So just the thought of us being this freaking old and one of us deciding to kill our parents, the rest of us will be looking like, what the hell is wrong with you? Let's go.
Colleen was a wonderful mother, described as a caring woman who would do anything for her children. Following an acrimonious divorce from their father, she had been a single parent for much of the children's lives. However, that didn't stop her going through university to create a more fulfilling life in the future. She began a new job with the health department only 2 weeks before her death, having worked in Nightville and cafes for several years before. You could say that, academically speaking, she had only just reached her pinnacle, and she was now ready to reap the rewards and was both proud and excited about it. To add to her intelligence, Colleen was also very conscious about her own health. This was particularly because she had to deal with Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune condition that affects the thyroid gland. This is quite a horrible disease to deal with, but otherwise, she was happy and healthy and was generally considered to be a fitness fanatic. So, do you remember I said Colleen had 4 children? Well, we've already met her youngest, which of course is 19-year-old Fabian. He is quite the gentle soul and was working at the local supermarket at the time his mother met her unfortunate end. Next up is her eldest son, Julian, who at the time was no longer living in the Perth area. Unfortunately, there isn't much information on him, but what we do know is that he was living far away when all of this went down. Her only daughter, Monique, was usually a similar story to Julian, but at the time had temporarily moved back into the family home while she trained to become a paramedic. And just like Fabian, she had seen her mother on the morning that she had died, where she described her mother as appearing to be totally fine. Last but not least was her son, Andre. And Andre, well, he was in a rather unique situation. It is probably best that we introduce him along with his ex-partner Gracie, as unfortunately, she did find herself tied up in this story. And so, on that note, where exactly do I begin? Gracie Piscopo and Andre Rebello were a well-known influencer couple who were only living a few miles away from his mother in Perth, Australia. Gracie was, and by the way still is, a well-known social media influencer and model. Not simply your model wannabe type, but one with an actual significant following. Her Instagram boasts more than 1 million followers, where she posts modeling photos and many brand sponsorships. Meanwhile, her YouTube channel has over 300,000 subscribers. Andre Rebello, on the other hand, was involved in cryptocurrency trading and, well, pretty much nothing else. It is quite obvious that he liked to see himself as some kind of crypto mastermind, one who could predict market volatility and then easily earn six figures through it. However, the harsh reality here is that he was actually terrible with it. In fact, he was so awful that he was well into the red and never into the green. More on that later. Andre and Gracie initially got to know each other through her ex-boyfriend, and then later on would both join Instagram, where they then began to send messages directly. By 2015, the two were officially a couple, and then fast forward 5 years later to the year 2020, and the two were married, living in Beaconsfield, and had a child together. This might be a rather obvious thing to mention here, but Gracie was the real breadwinner between the two. Meanwhile, Andre tried to help her with her business while also playing crypto bro in his spare time. With so much of their lives shared online, you can easily see the type of lifestyle that they tried to uphold. A self-made home tour, which was taken in April of 2020, shows grand fireplace wall features, huge sofas, opulent decorations, and a white Range Rover Evoque. To add to the typical kind of content that Gracie would make on Instagram, they would also create videos like food mukbangs, vlogs, and adventures away. You can also see through these videos and pictures that Gracie really was the main star of the show here, with her son Romeo just behind. As for Andre, well, he still was part of the videos, but he was more of an accessory. No content seemed to center around him, and he was more the management type found behind the scenes. But at least between the two of them, Andre and Gracie really did seem to be quite the team. The two of them would work together to secure brand partnerships, and in the background, Andre would still try to make his dreams come true through earning crypto. Now, I must give credit where it's due, because at least at one point in time, Andre would make a staggering $22 profit in crypto. So there is that. However, behind the scenes, Colleen was quite understandably fairly concerned about Andre's business, not only in cryptocurrency, but social media too. It's a very fair point, but she didn't quite see the longevity behind all of it. And then what would Andre and Gracie do once their time in the spotlight had ultimately faded? Not only that, but if all of this was just a temporary moment, then why were the two spending so much money on luxurious items? Because from the outside, Gracie and Andre really did seem to have it all. Not only a massive home and a Range Rover Evoque, but they had many luxurious items and would go on holiday several times a year. It really did look like the perfect life. You probably know exactly what I'm going to say here, but in reality, oh boy, that was very different. Let's just take that Range Rover for example. You would think that maybe they owned the vehicle, but in reality it was actually on finance. Not only that, but they were struggling to repay its payments every single month. They also had no solid assets in their name like a home. Everything was paid for monthly, and with no money in the bank, well, their financial situation was very fragile. Now, you could—
Boy, they just living a fake life all the way through, ain't it? You know what I'm saying, man? You ain't bought none of this stuff you got. None of this stuff you showing on social media, you don't actually own. You written all of it. From the freaking house to the freaking couch. You know what I'm saying? The damn sofa, the damn furniture that you showing, that y'all relaxing on. You ain't finished paying that shit off. You know what I'm saying, man? That's how these people be doing on social media, y'all. That's how they be doing, portraying that they living their best life and they ain't living shit. And another thing, real talk, another thing that I'm wondering, being team right now, is what does any of this have to do with Andre killing his mama? You know what I'm saying? Where's the tie-in? I'm thinking maybe his mama was well off and had some money that they wanted to freaking steal from her, or rob from her, life insurance or inheritance or something. I don't know. But it's just crazy, man. Like I said before we even started the video, and y'all already know it, a lot of people be on social media acting like they got way more than they really freaking got in their bank account. Let's go.
Could argue that, at least compared to Andre, Gracie was in a much more sensible position. Not only did she have her own business, but if she really needed to, she could pull in more money. But as for Andre, well, his crypto shtick was doing absolutely nothing for the couple. In fact, by May of 2020, the couple had a combined debt of more than 120,000 Australian dollars. And then, that very same month, Andre's mother would all of a sudden die. It was a day that began with excitement and anticipation. Andre had made plans to spend time with Gracie and also her cousin who was visiting for the day. Between the three of them, they were planning to go out for lunch, and Gracie, she was looking forward to it. However, as the morning progressed, things seemed to take an unexpected turn. It was around noon that Andre suddenly disappeared without a single word. No warning, no sign, nothing. He was simply gone. Initially confused, Gracie tried to brush off her concerns, thinking that maybe he might have only stepped out for a short while. But as the minutes turned into hours, her worry grew. She tried to message and then call him, but unfortunately, that was to no avail. Wherever the hell he decided to go, Andre was nowhere to be found, and he had also gone radio silent. Between 11:10 and 11:25 a.m., Gracie's anxiety clearly turned into frustration. It was in the span of about 15 minutes that she made a total of 12 calls to her husband. By 11:16, her frustration was clearly boiling over. That is when she sent him a series of text messages. The first one reading, "Answer your phone, where are you?" As the minutes ticked by, but still with no response, her messages became more frantic. "Do you not have a phone? What is wrong with you?" Now, maybe Gracie was a little impatient here, but Andre, well, he still failed to message his wife. That is when she messaged him saying, "Answer for fuck's sake," before then finally saying, "I'm fuming at you. I'm so angry." The hours dragged on and Gracie was clearly furious. She simply couldn't understand why Andre would disappear without a trace and leave her and her cousin waiting. And then all of a sudden, at around 2 p.m, Andre returned home as if nothing had happened. He walked inside the home casually with a nonchalant expression, before asking the two where they would like to go for lunch. Gracie was absolutely stunned by this. I mean, how could he act so normally after all of that? It wasn't out of character for him to leave his phone on silent, but this time he really did seem particularly careless. Anyway.
And I'm wondering, goddamn right now, is this during this time frame when he wasn't answering his phone or returning none of her text messages, was this the time where he went and killed his mama? Like, I'm still stuck on, why did you kill your mama, bro? I already know it's gonna be some BS, it's gonna be crazy, there's no excuse for it, but I'm just curious.
Before heading out to lunch, Andre made a point to text his mum to ask if she could watch over his son either later that day or the following day. He mentioned that he had some errands to run and wouldn't be able to look after his kid. But much like Andre himself earlier in the day, she failed to reply to any of his text messages. And as it turns out, he wasn't the only one to be met with silence. Around the same time and several suburbs away, his younger brother Fabian was getting ready to finish his shift at the local supermarket. It was only for 4 hours, but in customer service, that really can feel like an eternity. Colleen had already dropped him off that morning at around 10 a.m, promising to pick him up in 4 hours. But by the time 2 p.m. rolled around, well, she was nowhere to be found. He tried calling her phone more than a dozen times, but strangely, there was no answer. Text messages sent both by him and his sister Monique would also go unanswered, and that is when the two of them knew that something was wrong. On that note, Fabian hurried home with his heart heavy with worry, and upon arriving at the property, he would realize the sheer weight of the situation. He entered the house to hear the shower running from her ensuite bathroom. And, well, you already know how this story ends. Colleen was found dead in her home on May the 25th, 2020, and although her death was sudden and definitely unexpected, it was not treated as suspicious. As you can imagine, the Rebello family were absolutely devastated by the news of their mother's death. But nobody stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, this was not by natural causes. You see, the doctors knew that she did actually have issues with her heart, and so this could have been caused by cardiac arrhythmia or perhaps even a brain aneurysm. There was also the fact that she had Hashimoto's disease, and so with these things in mind, there definitely were risks. In addition to this, police officers would also conclude that all of the windows and doors in the property were locked at the time that she had died, therefore suggesting there was no sign of a break-in. As per her autopsy report, well, the cause of her death was never actually determined, but that was a good sign to suggest that she was probably not murdered. All of her children would also rule out suicide because Colleen had only just finished a master's degree and started a new job. She was very happy and with no signs of depression, and so, as much as a tragedy that her death was, everyone believed that it was natural. But that is when Julian began to notice that something was off with his brother, Andre. He seemed to be acting quite strange around the time of his mother's death, and that would only seem to worsen over time. It all began when Julian decided to stay in Perth for a couple of months after his mother's death in order to sort out her affairs. During this time, he would look through her records to establish her financial position and then settle her accounts. The first clue appeared when he realized that her driver's license was missing. Asking his brothers and sisters where her ID could have gone, Andre confirmed that he had actually taken it and had even taken the initiative to sort out their mother's affairs. Julian was rather surprised by this, because not only was this out of character for Andre, but Julian was supposed to be the executor. Well, one thing led to the next, and by the end of the day, he had learned that Colleen actually had several life insurance policies under her name. But the strange thing here is that not only did he not have any of the details, but this was also the first time he had ever heard about these policies. Unknown to any of the other siblings at the time, but only 2 weeks before Colleen's death, Andre had actually taken out not 1 or 2, but 3 life insurance policies on his mother. Now, there is nothing wrong in taking initiative, but it was quite strange that he didn't do this for himself, his wife, his child, or his brothers or sister, but only solely his mother. These life insurance policies...
That's what make it weird, y'all. That's one of the reasons that make it weird. That you didn't do this for your immediate family, your children, your wife, you know what I'm saying, as far as the life insurance, but you only did it for your mother. That's one thing that make it weird. Number 2 that make it weird, you didn't tell any of your brothers or sisters, you know what I'm saying, you didn't let them know about this. Number 3 that make it weird, you ain't just take out 1, you did not 1, not 2, but 3 freaking policies, man. Like, no, bro, you add that up, all that up, and now mama all of a sudden dead. You the one who freaking did it. That's just what it leading to. I'm sorry. And I said that earlier too, y'all. Unless I was like, why he kill his mama? Why would he do this? Unless it's for some money, unless it's some life insurance or something. Lo and behold, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Let's go.
Policies alone totaled more than $1 million. And the timing, well, it did seem incredibly suspicious. Not only that, but all of Colleen's mail now seemed to be redirected to Andre's house when nobody else had requested that. And Monique and Fabian were still living at the property anyway, so why the redirection? In addition to this, although the coroner's office had initially been assigned to contact Julian, all of the phone calls would now seemingly go straight to Andre instead. All of a sudden, the tragic death of their mother now felt like a game of chess, and Andre, he seemed to be several moves ahead. The concerning clues would not stop there either. Colleen's former psychologist would call Monique to ask her why forged documents seemed to be submitted on her behalf to an insurance company. Documents which she absolutely did not write herself. However, before the family could do anything about Andre, an insurance company would beat them to it instead. When one of those 3 companies recognized several inconsistencies in the incoming documents, they immediately suspected fraud. That is when they contacted Western Australia police, and the officers would come down hard on Andre. And so, 5 months after their mother's death, all 4 of those siblings were then asked to be interviewed by police officers. And meanwhile, police obtained search warrants not only for Colleen's home, but also Gracie's and Andre's. By the evening of that very same day, the police were very confident with their findings. So confident, in fact, that they arrested Andre on charges of fraud. Detectives learned that not only had he forged fake copies of her medical certificate, but her last will and testament and the coroner's report too. And on top of all of that, Andre had made himself the sole beneficiary of his mother's entire estate, meaning that all of her money and possessions would go to him and not his brothers or sister. Not only was this an absolutely disgusting thing to do, but it devastated Monique, Fabian, and Julian. Their brother had essentially shut all of them out, and now they would have to question if maybe he murdered their mother too. Following these horrible accusations, he was released on bail while detectives compiled their case. Maybe Andre was hoping that they would not be able to prove his charges of fraud. However, it turns out that they would find a lot more instead. Before we continue, it is worth mentioning here that Gracie was not part of these fraud allegations and had nothing to do with this. And unfortunately, we know this to be true because detectives bugged their home. After a warrant request to search their home was officially granted, surveillance teams would install a listening device in Gracie's bedroom and a camera in their living room. From this moment onwards, these devices would be monitored around the clock by officers between September the 9th and December the 7th. And although they would find a bunch of confessions of fraud from Andre himself, it became quite clear that Gracie was clueless. In these recordings, she could be heard saying, "What have you done? You've put us into so much shit. Like, why would you do that? And that is such a stupid thing to do." She would also express her own concerns about being a single mother before asking, "How do you even do insurance fraud? And what were you gonna do? Run?" Andre responded with, "I didn't think this would happen, but I won't go to jail. I will get my money and then leave the country before I go to jail." It is also
Sure, buddy. Sure. That's what you think. That's what he said.
worth noting here that Andre continued with his life over the next 2 years as if nothing had happened. I mean, not only was he still with his girlfriend, but the two would continue to make vlogs and videos. But little did he know that the clock was actually ticking, and eventually he would eat his own words about jail. Because in November of 2022, and following a scrutinous investigation conducted by detectives, Andre Rebello was officially arrested and charged with the murder of his mother.
Good. I hate that it took two years before they actually charged him, but good. But I just wanted to point out real quick what Coffee Man was talking about as far as the girlfriend. I think her name Gracie. Can't remember. But the girlfriend in this situation. It seems like that she knew what he had did, what Andre had did. Wife. They husband and wife, right? But it seemed like she knew what Andre had did. And the only thing I got a problem with is you knew what he did, but you still stayed with him. You know what I'm saying? You didn't tell nobody. Like, no, man. That when you realize that somebody killed somebody, you gotta tell somebody else. You know what I'm saying? That ain't no secret that you can keep to yourself. No, I ain't rocking with that. I don't like that. But good that he got charged, though. I don't even know if she should get charged with anything. I'm not even saying that. I just feel like it's just immoral. It's wrong. Long story short story long. To keep a secret like that to yourself, man. Then it was his mama? Nah.
The prosecution's story here was quite simple. Andre and Gracie portrayed a glamorous lifestyle on social media, which was partially funded by brand deals and sponsorships, but also came with many credit cards and personal loans. And while Gracie had the means to make her own kind of money, Andre had lied to her about his crypto business. He had already told her that he was making plenty of money through crypto assets, and that although it was all locked up temporarily, there would be plenty of money to come in the future. But the grim reality is that Andre had absolutely nothing. Squat. The court was shown that at the time Colleen died, Andre and Gracie had a combined debt of $121,000. Not only that, but they had no assets and almost no money in their savings accounts. Although the pressure that Andre must have felt would have been enormous, it was certainly self-generated. He lied to Gracie about his income, continued to feed into her luxurious lifestyle, and now, as a father and husband to a powerful woman, felt like he had to prove his worth to her. All of this is why he would take out multiple life insurance policies on his own mother, change himself to be the sole beneficiary, and then murder her in cold blood. And if he were to be successful in this terrible scheme, then maybe he could frame some of the incoming money as crypto earnings, therefore falsely confirming himself as a successful cryptocurrency king. Unfortunately, with so much time passing between Colleen's death and then the police treating this as a homicide investigation, they were not able to obtain any surveillance footage from the area. But what they did have was a very clean paper trail between Andre and multiple insurance companies, with one of them being very suspicious from basically the beginning. It seemed that every time the insurance company put a roadblock down against Andre, he would find some way around it, usually with a fake or forged certificate. Of course, that meaning that he was basically incriminating himself every single step along the way. Like I said before, this included a fake will and testament, a fake medical report, and a fake coroner's report. Not only that, but he would use AI to create a fake voice message from her psychologist too. Andre told the court that his mother was quite concerned about reaching the age of 60, and so she wanted to have life insurance policies to protect her children and grandchildren in the future. But the prosecution argued that this doesn't explain why all of those life insurance policies would go straight to Andre and nobody else.
Exactly.
I mean, surely you'd want them to be divided between all 4 siblings. Detective Sergeant Jason Hutchinson would tell the court that, while examining Andre's laptop, he found that all internet activity between December 2019 and July 2020 had been deleted. However, Andre would fail to delete Google searches after his mother's death, searches which included coroner's aneurysm causes, Word document assist, and inquest. Digital forensic analysis would also reveal that Andre's cell phone had pinged the cell towers near his mother's home at the time that she was suspected to have died. This suggests that he must have been in the immediate area when she passed away. To add to this, witnesses would also claim to have seen a white Land Rover Evoque outside of the property at around 1:30 p.m, which, as we know, matches the exact description to Andre's vehicle.
Yep.
So, the confirmed facts are as follows. Colleen dropped her son off at 10 a.m. at the local supermarket, but by the time 2 p.m. rolled around, she failed to pick him up. This creates a 4-hour window for when she could have died, and there are plenty of clues and signs to indicate that Andre was with her during this time. This is proven by Gracie's testament and call records, his mobile phone pinging off several cell towers in the area at the time, and his Range Rover Evoque being spotted outside of the property. All of this happened only 1 week after taking out multiple life insurance policies in her name. Life insurance policies that he made himself the sole beneficiary of, and would then create fake documents for. Now, the prosecution may not have any solid evidence against Andre, such as a video of him killing his mother, but as far as circumstantial evidence goes, I would say this was pretty much a slam dunk.
I'm talking about a slam freaking dunk, cause it's so crazy, like, dude, okay, you took out the life insurance policy for her, and then literally a week later, she dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you carried out this plan so quickly. It would have made more sense if you would be more smart about your plan that you was trying to take out. Okay, you take out the life insurance policy, then you wait a couple of months. You know what I'm saying? It's the summertime now. Then you do it in the winter. But for him to do it a week later, it's just all the red signs, all the red flags, the bullseye is pointing directly back to you. You the one who did this ish. All this ain't a coincidence, a happenstance. It just so happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, dude. I hope this dude get life in prison for this. We almost done with it, being team. So let's find out.
The prosecution also claimed that although Andre had staged her death to make it look natural and had acted carefully, he would go on to make several mistakes that would in turn reveal the actual truth. For example, police photos of Colleen's body showed her lying outside of the shower, still wearing makeup and even jewelry, which included a gold watch. She wasn't the type of person to just go in the shower with these things on, so it really didn't make any sense. To add to that, she still had her hair tied up, and the bath mat that she would usually use while in the shower was still draped over the bath. So in essence, Andre had staged the scene quite terribly, which, to be honest, I'm not that surprised about really. I mean, you can tell he's just a giant himbo. No surprise, but Andre would deny all of these murder charges. However, he would admit to taking out 3 life insurance policies in Colleen's name and then forging documents to access one of them. His defense team would suggest various potential causes of death, this including cardiac arrhythmia or even a brain aneurysm. However, the coroner's inability to determine the exact cause of her death would add complexity to this case, therefore making it heavily reliant on circumstantial evidence. But with the possibility of a life sentence looming over Andre if he were to be found guilty, the atmosphere in the courtroom was understandably tense. I think this goes for most of my stories, but the stakes really were high here, and everyone awaited the jury's decision with bated breath. Deliberations began on December 3rd, 2024, and only 2 days later, the jury returned with a unanimous verdict. Andre Rebello was officially found to be guilty of murdering his mother. As a result, he is likely to receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. His father, Antonio, who attended the trial, was clearly saddened by the news. This was a much stronger response than Andre himself, who gave almost no emotion when the verdict was read out. And with his trial now finally done and over with, he will be sentenced next year in April of 2025. Once again, it is certainly worth noting here that Gracie had no idea about Andre's plans. She wasn't aware of the payout, the change in beneficiary, the murder, or even the actual insurance policies. To put it quite bluntly here, she was simply the partner of a very foolish man who planned to deceive her. Andre's actions have done far more than destroy the lives of only his mother, brothers, and sister. He has also robbed Gracie of her first marriage and her child of an innocent biological father. The media really hasn't been too kind to her, when, in reality, she is probably suffering almost as much as the rest of the Rebello family. In the recent year, Gracie has now found herself a new partner who seems to love not only her, but her son too. And I really do hope that he will be the one to bring her the calmness and the steadiness she deserves. And last but not least, we can't forget about Colleen Rebello. She was a remarkable woman known for her dedication and her love for her family. And despite the challenges of single parenthood, she would put herself through university to create a better future, not only for herself, but for her children and her future grandchildren too. You can tell that she was dedicated to improving herself in almost every single way possible, whether that be through family, health, education, or career. Her sudden and unexpected death has left her family and her friends absolutely devastated, but her legacy as a loving mother and a dedicated professional will continue to be remembered by all of those who cherish her.
Rest in peace.
All I can really say about this case, and Andre in particular, is what a bloody moron. By the way, folks, this is just another example of how different influencers actually are in reality compared to what they portray online. So, the next time you unfairly compare yourself, please do remember that. I mean, in reality, the chances are you are probably much happier than they are. Although this entire case was basically centered around circumstantial evidence, it was quite strong and thick. Do you think it was enough? Do you think that Andre did murder his mother? And do you think that the evidence that we have seen is enough to convict him? As always, please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Anyway folks, I think that's the end of the video for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you again very soon for another one. Until that moment arrives though, remember to look after yourself, look after each other, and as always, stay safe. Thank you, and goodbye.
Another Coffee Man Friday bean team. And this story like kind of hit like close to home to me, so to speak, a little bit. And all I'm saying, the reason I'm saying that, it go back to what I was saying earlier when I'm saying that Colleen had multiple children, but they were all adults. It was not like little children, you know what I'm saying? They all adults at this point, but they still her kids, they still her children, you know what I'm saying, man? And it just remind me of my situation and how I grew up and where I'm at this point in my life. Like I said, y'all, I'm 33 and I got 5 sisters who are older than me. So I'm just trying to think, like, what if one of us, or well, I was to find out one of my sisters that murdered my mama? It'd just be like, what the freak? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? This lady, and I got so many, and it's the same way with Colleen. It's the same thing with my mama. Like, I got so many nieces and nephews. Not only is it's beyond just us, my sisters. Now we done brought other people into this world. You know what I'm saying? The next generation that all started from Colleen, all started from my mama, and now you the one who freaking murder the person who started all this ish. It's just crazy, man. And I feel good that Andre got found guilty and stuff. I hope he stay in prison the rest of his life. This is another one of those stories where I hope we get an update sooner than later. I think Coffee Man said he going to trial next year, and we'll find out more. This is one of the ones where I feel like I need to put it in my phone, man, just to remind myself to try to keep update on this trial throughout the year 2025. But I just want to speak on Gracie real quick. And I was talking earlier, and I was talking about how I feel like if she knew that that what his name is, I can't. Andre. If she knew that Andre had murdered Colleen, his mama and stuff, then I don't understand why she still would stay with him. But Coffee Man, he even like alluded to it even more at the end of the video, that she didn't know anything about what he was gonna do or what the murder and the getting the money, and she was faking and he was faking and deceiving her from the crypto stuff and acting like he got money and all that, and he had ulterior motives. But all I'm saying is, if she didn't know, then she didn't know, and that's all good. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she could have not known about anything about the murder before it happened, but known about it after it happened. And that's why I started to have a problem with, because if she knew about the murder that he had killed her after it happened, then it's like, dude, why are you still with him? So I don't know, man. Like, I don't think she had anything to do with the actual murder, but I just feel like it'll be effed up if she knew the murder happened and still decided to stay with him. Long story short, short story long. And I digress. I'm gonna go let y'all go now, Bean Team. Another great Coffee Man video. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before you leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.